For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat. There was uncontrollable rage. Some of the specifics she says
this is a crazy story with a twist ending. Stay around. But this is Ruby Rose. She's a 26-year-old American rapper with a spicy side. And that's where she meets her #1 fan. She runs into her #1 fan in real life. And this #1 fan has spent a whopping $62,321.70.
Most girls plan whenever they start wearing fake hair, getting fake breasts, getting fake boobs, with the anticipation of landing a guy that can just hand her $60,000. So if it's already a premeditated thought, you get in the comments to let me know who's the winner, the guy or the woman, because technically she won because that's what she invested in. Let's get back to it.
He spent more than every other person on this spicy site on Ruby Rose. Recognize that face? Well, if you used to watch MTV's True Life, I'm Addicted to P, that's the guy.
As P-Hub will psychologically condition you to being obsessed when it comes to these type of women, because these type of women are a replica of P-Hub.
That guy right there, who is addicted to P, he was featured in the show, and he loves P. Well, apparently he loves it so much that years later he spent $62,000 on Ruby Rose P.
The average man that's sitting at home right now watching P-Hub and has his own favorite P-Hub stars, he would never meet them. He would never see them, and they please him every day. But this guy right here, he got the money so he could fulfill that fantasy. And what you have to understand is a lot of rich people do this, which is why you're seeing so many allegations come out on stars. And that's going to segue me into the Diddy situation. But when it comes to the Ruby Rose situation, you have to understand that this is normal.
Y'all know how much 60 bands is? The average American makes like $56,000 a year.
He got a point. But what I want you guys to understand is $60K is a lot of money to someone that doesn't have money. When you start to get out here, get on your grind, and you get into Bitcoin and you get into the stock market and you get into owning businesses, in a lot of cases, you can write 60K off. 60K comes very fast when you start owning stuff. It doesn't happen at the beginning, but it will happen over time. So I don't want people to start looking at 60K as a lot of money. I want you to start looking at it like, how do I get to that 60K needs to be the big question.
And the crazy thing is you link with her, and I can guarantee you didn't hit. In the bio of his account, it says crypto whale, which means he's a big nerd. And it says looking for a queen. I'm sorry to break it to you, this is not your queen. This just goes to show you it don't matter how much money you make. If you're a lame, you're a lame. It seems like bro's a lethal shooter. I'm not going to lie. This is probably one of many shots that he's taken. And girls be like, my love language is Cash App. My love language is Venmo. Most bro got from Ruby Rose was a damn picture. That's tough.
He's not looking to marry her. All he's looking to do is to have her shout him out, have her show him attention more than the other guys that are in the DM that's spending money that's not getting anywhere. Men, you have to understand, we live in a world now where most women are going to automatically assume you're this type of guy that's going to do that based off the amount of guys that want to do it. That's what we're, like I said at the beginning, 95% of guys now, women just don't even trust them. They feel like, women feel like I would never love these guys. So if I'm going to be with any guy now, he needs to pay for it. So you're going to see girls say, hey, where's my Cash App? You got to hit me up, or you got to pay for that. And dudes will be like, oh, you're not worth that. You're not this. And then another guy is going to come along and be like, here, I'll give it to you. She's going to go with the weirdo. Granted, if you stop and look at this dude, we can say he's a weird looking guy, but we can also say this is what the internet has. This is what's inside the matrix. This is what they look like, right? And we can look at her and we can say, this is what a thought looks like. This is the definition of the type of girl you should not be around. So we have the type of guy that women don't want with the type of woman that men shouldn't be around coming together. Is it a bad situation, or is both of them getting really what they want out of the relationship? It's an arranged relationship. What that mean? That means that if he set out to get into Bitcoin, to make a lot of money in Bitcoin, just so he could fulfill his fantasy, and she put on a fake wig, fake titties, and fake booties just to allure that man, don't you think it's a match made in heaven if both of them got what they wanted? Even though he didn't get any cookie. He didn't get she didn't sleep with him and she's not with him. He still fulfilled the fantasy. That's what men have to understand. We live in a world right now where you may look at someone else's life and you may be able to make a decision and tear down their life. But you have to look at the physical evidence of what's happening here. He's rich. This is what rich guys do. Bring their fantasies to life. And if you take it overboard, then that's when we go into the Diddy situation. Let's get into Diddy and Cassie.
This young woman at the time, her name was Cassie Ventura. It was 2005. She was 19 years old, and she met and became the girlfriend and employee, she alleges, of Sean Diddy Combs of his mega record label. She was a singer herself, but she goes on to say that during this time that she was a part of the cycle of violence. There was uncontrollable rage. Some of the specifics she says that he introduced her to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol. Now there are always two sides to every story. And his attorney has released a statement to CNN, which reads, in part, Mr. Combs denies these offenses and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail, baseless and outrageous lies aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and simply seeking a payday.
Now, we can't say if she's looking for a payday or not. What I can say as someone that has been behind the scenes of Hollywood, this is what I've noticed, and I'm just only going to speak from my perspective when it comes to this. There's this thing in Hollywood called hype-nitis that people seem to catch whenever they get around rich people, whenever they get around famous people. It's like they make themselves like them. All of a sudden, these people's jokes start to become funny. People just want to be so close. They feel like they're part of the in crowd. Oh, if everybody's doing that, then we're going to do this. They're just so happy to be around fame. And the reason for that is because the reward for being around these type of women, these type of people are high. That means that if you get with a rich guy, a woman may not have to work a job for an entire year off of one payday. That's what I'm trying to tell a lot of you guys. When you see the Ruby Red situation, that's nothing. In Hollywood, a lot of these dudes are so rich and own houses in so many places and make so much money that they let women live in them. Their girlfriends live in them. You can have it. Here's 5,000. All I need you to do as my side chick is show up and give me a blowjob at this house when I show up at this house. I've seen that. That's what happens in Hollywood. People are willing to give up their sexual nature just to stay inside of the circle of celebrities. They have hype-nitis. And when you get to women like Cassie, they come into the situation like that. They come into the situation with hype-nitis. They come into the situation like, oh man, I should get with Diddy and then I'll be taken care of forever. At that time, Diddy was what, 35 and she was 19. He was 40, she was 19. So you have to understand that we can say these girls are easily manipulated, But in a lot of cases, the girls have came into the situation with hypnitis that they're willing to ongoing doing this type of stuff. You got to realize this. Based off of the things that she said he was doing, like being with other guys, getting banged out by other dudes, and he's sitting back watching, you have to ask yourself, like, why wouldn't you leave before? Why didn't you go somewhere before? We still can't say if it's true or not. I'm not going to get into that. But the main question here is, what stopped you before? What out of all these years, what stopped you from leaving? What stopped you from saying anything to somebody? The lifestyle. Because that's what they initially come in for and catch hypnitis. Now, a lot of these girls, once they capture their prey and they have a payday, when that payday runs out, they start to think about all the nasty stuff that they did in the relationship when they were getting the payday. See, as long as everybody can go to the mall and shop and eat at expensive restaurants, everything is cool. But it's when the payday stops that they start to say, hold up, I did some degrading stuff for this man so I can continue my lifestyle. You ever heard somebody or your parents or your mom or something ever said, everything that I've ever did in life was for you? That means she done did some slutty shit. When women start saying stuff like that, that means they done did some slutty stuff with a man to get what they wanted. So when it comes to Cassie's situation, in my opinion, I think she was doing a lot of slutty stuff with him in order to get certain things that she wanted. Why else would you allow someone to degrade you and do all these other things if it wasn't a good payout there? It can't be, oh, I'm so scared that this, oh, I'm so fearful of that. No, you're famous and rich. Somebody's there that can help you. It's when the payday happens, because you got to realize, you have to realize they've been broken up for a long time. And now she faces it. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm going off the situation here. Now let's get back into another one.
Another one. Diddy has been accused of that and that. Another one. Diddy has been accused of that and thatting a 17-year-old girl when she was in the 11th grade. So this girl says she can prove it because she was in the studio. So then wouldn't there be like cameras or something? This is his fourth allegation in 3 weeks. Firstly, I think he set a bad precedent by settling with the first girl. Number one, that makes him look guilty, which he probably is. We've all heard.
Now, I have to agree with that. I have to agree. That's one of the biggest mistakes that Diddy made. You settled out of court in less than 24 hours. And obviously, she was asking for 30 mil. So for you to settle out of court that fast, I think possibly he gave her more than $30 million. But what does it also show? It shows fear. He shows, I'm fearful of this type of situation happening to me, because nobody has ever settled that fast. So that sends a domino effect to all the other girls that may have degraded themselves to be around Diddy, to the point where they're like, all right, if he just gave her 30 to 40 million that fast, for little old me, I could probably get 500,000. For little old me, I can probably get 100,000. For little old me, I may be possibly to get 1 million. So you have to understand it's a relay effect. But what I also want you to understand is, I don't think that Diddy did any of this stuff. I think Diddy pissed the elite off. When you piss off the elites, this type of shit happens to everybody that pisses off the elites. They go through the women to tear you down. Have you noticed that? Let's get back to it.
When you settle, the other people are going to know that you settled. So they're gonna chase that. I think this man's done some crazy shit, and it's just all coming home to roost.
I think Diddy pissed off one of the elites. I think that there's blood money somewhere else, and all they're doing is using the women to tear him down because it's the fastest way to get the fans, to get society to side with you. Look at how they got Bill Cosby quick and fast after 40 years. They tried Jamie Foxx. Look at all these other dudes that Cuban Gooding Jr. Look at Cuban Gooding Jr. He really didn't do anything. Like, really? Because they know if all we do is put these allegations out there about you, whether it's true or not, if the media catches hold to it and it becomes big, it tarnishes your name no matter what. The grape word can never leave anybody. Everybody's always going to be looking at that. So whenever something happens to one of these Hollywood stars and they want to get rid of you, they go through the women, knowing good well at that time, women showing up at 3 o'clock in the morning, women doing all this nasty stuff. No one has to groom these women in Hollywood to do that. I've seen more women behind the scenes in Hollywood that's throwing it at you. Matter of fact, you have more men throwing it at men. I can see now, if they say, oh, we found Diddy with a dude, I believe that. Because I know in Hollywood, they get down like that from sleeping with too many women that they start to like lose the emotion with a woman, and then they need another arousement, so they go to men. That's why I tell a lot of you dudes, like, you got to kind of watch when pleasing yourself. Because what you're thinking about to pleasing yourself is no way physically going to happen. Even your sexual style that you have jerking off doesn't exist in real life. You're not going to have sex with a girl at that speed, the way you're fantasizing it to get off. You're never going to have sex like that. But when you hypnotize yourself into doing it, then when you are around a real woman, you're going to need a little extra more kick. That's why a lot of dudes, you can get it up alone, but you can't get it up whenever you are with a woman because you've desensitized yourself through what you've been getting off to. Well, this happens with celebrities in Hollywood. They get used to just having so many women at them, getting everything done to them that can possibly happen. Whatever they can think of, there's a girl that's going to show up at the room and do it. And then when they get desensitized to that, they need a whole nother kick.